Welcome to Penny for Your Shots, Conversations and Cocktails with Brilliant Women, the podcast where we uncork the stories and insights of exceptional female leaders from all walks of life. Our goal is to serve up wisdom, tips, and inspiration, and to support each other in rediscovering ourselves and what sets our souls on fire. We'll also share personal memories, paired with friends and a favorite beverage. I'm your host, Penny Fitzgerald, and I believe that the best stories are served up over a glass of wine or a cocktail. So grab a glass, get comfy, and let's pour ourselves into Penny for Your Shots. I met Sharon North Pohl, yes, that is her real name, through my Sassy Sisters networking group. She spoke at one of our events and shared a scary episode she experienced just a couple of years ago. Her story reminded me how quickly your life can change. This hit particularly close to home for me, as just a couple of weeks ago, I was helping a friend clean a pool area, was using a broom to knock down cobwebs and debris off the lanai screens above my head. I took a half step backwards, and I didn't quite have as wide a path as I thought. And I tumbled into the deep end of the pool. My first thought, after realizing I was getting wet, was, oh, wow, my podcast is still playing. My earbuds are waterproof. My next thought was, well, just touch the bottom and stand up. I couldn't touch the bottom. Then, oh shit, I need to get to the side of this pool. Okay, honestly, it's kind of funny right now. And I'm sure that if someone had it on camera, it would have made America's funniest videos. Me going ass over apple cart into that pool. At the time, however, it was pretty scary. If you know me, you know I'm not one to first go jumping into a pool. I ease my way in, and I rarely go all the way under unless I'm sure I can touch the bottom. In fact, until this incident, I didn't know I could swim. Thankfully, luckily, turns out I can, if I'm properly motivated. I didn't realize that I was hurt until later. I must have twisted my ankle and hit my hip and knee on something on the way in. And it took me a few days for the swelling to go down and for the bruises to heal. And that really shook me. It took way longer than I feel it should have, than it used to take. And it made me realize that just one wrong step can change your life. What if I would have hit my head instead of my hip? I'm so grateful that I was only a little banged up for a few days. It could have been way worse. And I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. But seriously, it's so easy to take our health and our day-to-day for granted. And that little tumble was a wake-up call that I needed to be more present in caring for myself, in being intentional about getting and staying strong. Be careful out there, my friend. You're important to me. Stay healthy. And I will too, okay? Deal? Deal. Here is Sharon North Pohl.
Hi, Sharon. I'm good. Thanks for rescheduling. My friend had a really bad event with her daughter today, and she called me right around the time I was supposed to meet with you, and it totally took me off my game. So sorry. Thanks for understanding.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me for my podcast. And I am really looking forward to hearing and sharing your story.
Sure.
So I have a really silly question to start us with. Your last name?
It's a combination of my married name and my maiden name.
Yes, and it's North Pohl. How fun is that?
Right, and it's fun. So my ex-husband was North, and when we got married, I made the decision to put it in the middle rather than at the end, which ended up being a good decision because it left all my my banking and everything still in my maiden name. So, and it was backwards Pohl North. So so I kept it because it's a cute, memorable name.
It is very cute and yes, for sure, very memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think men understand the nuances or the amount of change it requires to change your last name and what it means, all the significance of all the things that you have to change. And
Right. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And because, 60% of marriages don't last long term, then you're stuck whether you want to change it back or what are you going to do. So that was my decision, was better safe than sorry. And it ended up being a good choice.
Very smart. This is a very good choice. Yes, for sure.
Right.
So tell us a little about your career. How did you come to? It's called Zesty Change, right?
It's called
Just
Zesty Change. It is, and it's a life coaching uh, offering that helps women with wellness and actually helping them be well in their body and well in their business. Because I have a very long career as an entrepreneurial businesswoman, and I've worked in a lot of different industries over the years. And because I'm lucky to have gotten to this ripe age of wisdom, I have a lot of my coaching clients when I start working with them on their wellness and, their holistic balance in their life. Part of what comes up is a lot of questions around their business or their field that they're still working in. And a lot of them are newly entering into the entrepreneurial world, coming from a career that they retired from, and now are pivoting and working on building a website and working on social media and all those things that I've worked on in all my businesses for so long. So I realized that a lot of what I'm doing is a blended thing. So what I offer in my Zesty Change is a Zesty Change wherever you need it. So if it's a health change or it's a business change or whatever else, I've been there, done that for a lot of things. So I help women in transition, pivoting through their life, be it wellness, a divorce, or looking to pivot into a new entrepreneurial effort. And I'm helping 2 women write a book for the women in Sassy Sisters.
Nice.
So I've written a book and published it, and it was an Amazon, well, it still is an Amazon #1 best-selling book. It's called Zesty Changes, and it's 30 women, including myself, with their stories from kind of lemons to lemonade, how they moved from being, in a really tough situation to finding their way out and thriving through the tragedies. So my book, that's one of the things I've helped other women do. So I've realized that although my focus is wellness, that wellness is a balancing act of all the things in your life. It's not just your weight and your eating and your taking care of your self-care and your mental attitude, which is a big part of what I do. It's also helping women find the structure to not get buried in details of running an online business. So that, or writing a book or anything else. So what I say is I offer Zesty Big Sister energy where you need it in your transition. So if you need a hug or you need a tug, I'm there to help you sort that out.
Cute. I love that.
Yeah. So
Big
it's
sister
become,
energy.
it's become, as I've worked with coaching clients, it's become obvious to me that part of what women need is a sounding board as they're moving into their entrepreneurial world, for their branding and their colors and their email marketing and all the things that they need to do. So although they come to me because they're looking for an up level in their health and wellness, part of what happens is they start asking me all the questions. Well, how did you do this? And how did you do that? And how did you become, I was an Instagram influencer. So all those pieces of my background have become what has evolved in my coaching offering is that I'm willing to help women wherever they happen to be. And part of it seems like a lot of women that are 50, 60 and beyond, a lot of them are pivoting into some kind of entrepreneurial venture. They might be doing, Shackley, or they might be doing Mary Kay, or they might be, doing something they've always loved, and now they're actually doing it, like doing an online yoga class. So anyway, I offer them that big sister energy wherever they need the accountability and the ideas and the push to move forward with
Nice.
their health and with their business.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, and it don't you feel too that a lot of us entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs especially, you start by filling a need, and that grows, and that's what becomes your business, or that's what becomes, I mean, your gift that you can share with others.
Right. And I see a lot of women in that after 50 time getting ready to or leaving their traditional career, whatever that might have been. And now they want to do something else. And they don't want to just sit in a rocking chair. They want to rock their life. And so that often involves pivoting to a new offer, a new career, a new
Right.
website, a new a new social media presence, all the things that women want to do as they move out of their traditional corporate presence or their regular job. A lot of times they're looking to do something they're passionate about.
Yeah. And try even remembering that passion is sometimes hard because they've been putting one foot in front of the other, caring for their families, for everybody else but themselves.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it takes a while.
often we start there with
Mhm.
the wellness piece of it. What are you doing about your health, and what are you doing about your self-care and your mental mindset and all those pieces. But it often leads right directly to their business offering because they're interconnected. When you're an entrepreneur, your home is your business. And
Yeah.
so it's hard to um, slice them into two different entities, because if your business is dragging you down and not leaving you any time for self-care, your health will become o- on the back burner.
Yeah.
And so I help women find balance is really what it's
Nice.
about.
Yeah. Well, and vice versa too. I feel like, if you've got something going on personally that is either physically or mentally or emotionally challenging, you have to take care of that first to get your energy up to be able to serve your people in your business.
Right.
You know?
Well, I started at one end of it, and then I realized that after, 50 years as an outside sales rep, running my own sales organization, to starting a nonprofit and building an online business, that that there's a whole lot of skill and wisdom that went into all those pieces. And as they as my clients that are looking for balance in their life started looking at those things that they needed some help with, I realized that really what I have become is a blended coach, part wellness and part business wellness, which isn't really what I had as my vision in the beginning. It is it's where my clients took me.
Yeah. Pivot.
Yeah, right. What are we going to do next? And
Sure.
how do I do this thing? And how do I build a website? And do you have contacts that can help me do this or that? And how do I start a face? All those pieces of the puzzle are things I've done multiple times, and I can help someone figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Very cool. We do very similar things, but just in a different perspective because everyone's um everyone's got their own spin and different needs. Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Are you comfortable sharing some of your personal journey? I mean, and I'm so for my listeners, Sharon and I are sassy sisters together, and Sharon spoke at a recent event and shared a bit about her personal journey, and I just felt that was so powerful. I'd love if you would, if you're comfortable.
I'll be sure. I don't
Great.
know about my journey.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, I was at a speaking event where I was presenting about balancing your life with a group of women in Mexico. On my way home, I started feeling kind of funky. And by the time I got to California, where I spent summers in California and winters in Florida. So anyway, I was starting to feel bad. I started to get a cough. I didn't have COVID, and I didn't know what it was. Well, it ended up that I had a very bad, um, undiagnosed form of pneumonia. And I ended up in the hospital with a pneumonia that they couldn't get a grip on. I don't know if you remember Mary Lou Whitner, the famous ice skater, recently had a very rare form of pneumonia and
Yes.
was in a coma. It was a very similar thing. So I ended up in a coma for 2 weeks and in the hospital for 2 months. And after, having a robust time in Mexico just a week and a half earlier. So I've always been very active. Well, not always. I have another story of gaining weight and losing weight way back in the beginning of my divorce. So that's another up and down story, which is helpful when I help other women who are going through a breakup that drives them to eat, which it does. So anyway, back then I revised my whole eating, my whole exercise, and I began what I call the Zesty Toolbox, which is a system of living that is with a lot of organic foods, health foods, exercise, gut health, all the things that I teach and love. I took on board and became really healthy and really strong in my reserve. And when I got so sick, it was just a rare contagious event. It wasn't my own self. It was something that was a highly contagious pneumonia. So I was on dialysis and on hospice for a period of time. And they said I would probably be on dialysis the rest of my life. And at that point, I said, no, I can't do my bucket list asking where the next dialysis machine is. So I drew in all of the reserves that I had. And a big part of it was the mental reserve and the affirmations and meditations and belief, and also the health reserve that I had. I wasn't overweight. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have diabetes. I didn't have any other kinds of illnesses to compound this terrible lung disease that happened to me. Had I gone in there 50 pounds overweight, or had I gone in there with diabetes or high blood pressure or already compromised liver or kidneys, I wouldn't have made it out because I got sepsis. And 70% of the people that get sepsis die. And so it was a minor miracle that I pulled out of that and that I'm really fully back to normal. My leg was paralyzed. I had to learn to walk again. I had to learn to speak again. I had to learn to, use my digits again. My fingers didn't work. Everything just shuts down when you get that sick. And you're in the hospital for that long. So I was laying down for 2.5 months. And when I got out, I was in a wheelchair and I walked with a walker for 2 or 3, 4 weeks, maybe a month. I walked with a walker and then a 4-prong cane and then a cane. But I've become even more passionate to help other women build that reserve, build that, that health reserve. That isn't just a good idea. It saved my life. Had I gone in there carrying the 30 pounds I had on my body after my divorce and the high blood pressure that I was carrying at that time, I wouldn't have made it out. So I've become really passionate about helping women find that balance and use all of the tools that exist, the gut health tools, how to understand why organic food is so important, how to understand all of the fermented food, and how to have a practice where you understand how to meditate and do gratitude and do affirmation, because those are the things that gave me the mindset to say, hell no, I won't go. I'm not ready to leave.
That's great. Let me back up just a second too. This was 2 years ago that this happened.
So,
And you were hospitalized for 2.5 months or were down for a long time.
right.
They put you in hospice, which is normally like end of life palliative care, right?
Right. So I didn't go into a full hospice, but they brought in the hospice people to talk to my loved ones and gave them the opportunity that if they couldn't get the antibiotics to work, like it was like it's okay now, time to think, if we can't fix this in the next 48 hours, when you think about whether she's going to make it out, or because the sepsis was taking over, that's all organ failure. So when you're in all organ failure, the doctors bring in hospice because it's a crapshoot whether you're going to make it out or not. So that's why they had them in there, because I was in hospice. I was in sepsis. So luckily they used an experimental antibiotic and it finally worked and it started to turn the pneumonia around. So I got out of the coma at that point. And so I was in a coma on a respirator and on dialysis, on a breathing machine, on a feeding tube, the whole works. Like you'd expect your 90-year-old. And
Oh,
so that whole recovery process was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Learning to walk again. I had a physical therapist and a nurse that came to my house when I went home. I had to have a, potty chair by the bed because I couldn't walk to the bathroom. I'm just lucky that I didn't have to use a catheter forever. I mean, they said I may be on one of
It's a
those bags and a
possibility.
catheter forever. So anyway,
Mhm.
I just want to impress to the people that are listening how important your health is, because really nothing else matters. If you don't have your health, the wealth doesn't matter. So you
One
don't
thing can
so
change your
important.
life in a heartbeat, in just one instant. Oh
It's
my gosh.
like an automobile accident. I mean, that could have happened as well. That isn't how I got there. It was from a really rare form of pneumonia that I contracted in Mexico. But nonetheless, it brought that same kind of incapacity, like,
In an
like
instant.
in an instant, it took a few days to get there, but then
Yeah.
it was there.
There's
And I
nothing
was,
you could have done. I mean, there's nothing you could have changed, but it's
my,
not a slow moving, something that
um,
comes at you that can see coming. It's just like, oh wow, my life has changed.
it just happened. And it was a shock for me and for everybody that knows me because I've always been so active. I'm a skier, I paddleboard, I play tennis, I play pickleball, I hike. I'm just out there, doing stuff all the time. And to see me in that totally compromised way was shocking to everyone.
Well, especially you. I'm sure it was
And to
like,
me,
yeah, when you were waking up and first realizing that, wow, here's my new reality. I mean, that had to have been a really difficult thing emotionally to grasp and to fight.
I remember when I first woke up and my husband was there and my daughter was there, I couldn't understand why he wouldn't take me home. I was kind of
Yeah.
I was kind of foggy in my mind and couldn't talk very well. And I said, I want to eat and I want to go home because a feeding tube is not satisfying. It gives you nutrition, but it's not satisfying. You can't chew anything.
Yeah.
So I said that he said, when you first started talking, it was, I want to eat and I want to go home. And he said, well, you can't go home. You can't even get up. I couldn't get out of bed by myself for the first month and a half. I had to have toys to get in the bathroom. So I've never had a situation like that, and I hope that your listeners don't ever have that. But I just encourage everybody to be aware of how those daily habits that you do every day, the 1% that you change to improve your health, can be a life-saving change. Um, I had a rare form of pneumonia that was a side swipe, but something to know is that 80% of chronic diseases are lifestyle preventable. 80%. So that blood pressure, that stroke, that heart disease, that heart attack,
Diabetes.
all of it. So all of it. So helping women get a grip on their health is really what my passion is. And then helping them get a grip on their business is what helps them get a grip on their health. So their business isn't dragging them down into the, I can't take care of myself. I've been there. I ran a horse ranch. It was a nonprofit horse ranch. And towards the end of my marriage, we were struggling, and it was during 2008, during the economic shutdown. And I wasn't taking care of myself. I was working my butt off. I wasn't doing any of the things that I talked about. I gained about 45 pounds. My marriage was failing, and I was really in a compromised situation. My blood pressure was high. I wasn't doing well. And then went through a divorce and went through the doldrums from all that. And then through that, I one day looked in the mirror and said, you got to change. This isn't going to work. And so that's when I made those lifestyle changes that I call the Zesty Toolbox, which isn't easy to get to. It takes a lot of discipline and a lot of change and, small incremental changes every day so you can get back on a healthy track physically and mentally.
Bravery. Takes bravery.
And it takes letting go of the shame
Yes.
that is making you eat. Like I was ashamed of the divorce. I was ashamed of my weight. It was that shame piece of it. So you gotta find out what is driving it. For me, it was the loss of my horse ranch and my husband. And that's what drove me to self-medicating with food. And I was never, luckily, I didn't turn to drugs or alcohol, but a lot of women do. And that's even a bigger problem when they spend a lot of time um, self-medicating with drugs or alcohol. But all of them compromise your wellness and your sense of well-being, both mentally and physically. So I learned a lot of lessons, and I've learned a lot of shortcuts to help women not take as long as it took me to move back to a healthy place. And luckily, my demise with that wellness came after my changes, after I dropped that weight and after I started meditating and using affirmations and all the things. So I had instigated all those things in this Zesty toolbox. And that's how I made it out of hospital and back to living fully again.
That's amazing. I'm grateful that you did, that you were able to go through.
And I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here.
Celebrate that.
That's all that. So yeah, it's and I'm launching I have redone a course. I have a 13-week course. It's on wellness, and it goes through all those things. And I'm getting ready to offer that to the Zesty sisters, to the Sassy sisters, and some other women to do the first 5 weeks at no charge, because I'm looking for feedback. And I've twisted it, changed it. I've fine-tuned it. I've updated it. And so it's a 13-week program, but I'm going to deliver the 6 weeks to whoever would like to join me. And all I ask is that they fill out a feedback form after every lesson. It's an online lesson, so they can do it at their own pace. And they'll get a feedback form after that week that they do the lesson. And I ask them within 48 hours to send back the feedback form and then show up for every lesson comes with a weekly group coaching, a live coaching. So show up for the group coaching, which is, that's an expensive offer that I'm offering just for no cost, just for your feedback and your participation. So if you know anybody that's interested in that, I'll be putting it out there. I'll put it out in the Sassy Sisters group, and I'll put a link for people to sign up, and then it'll start around the middle of March. That'll be the first lesson drop, and then every week for 6 weeks, a feedback form, and then a group coaching lesson that we'll decide as a group. So I'll see what works, and we'll figure it out. And I will record them, and so can't make it, I'll send you the recording. But it's a good place to come live because you get to ask questions.
Yeah. And everybody learns. You learn from each other when you're in a group coaching situation. That's always wonderful.
Right. So that's my latest thing I'm going to do. Well, I appreciate your time and your flexibility to reschedule when I had that situation happen this morning.
No worries. Things happen. I'm just glad that everyone's okay, and hope
we're doing okay.
Good.
They're now searching for a service dog that can help her with epileptic fits. So that's a whole big thing for them to figure out how to do that, because the dog can notice it, and part of the problem is they fall, and so the dog can notice it's going to happen and get underneath, go to where
help break the fall.
Yeah, help break the. But how are they going to help? So she explained that to me when I talked about it today.
Well, and I've heard, and I'm not, hands-on with. I don't have a direct info to this, but I've heard that the dogs can detect before it happens.
They can.
You to let somebody else know that you need help.
Right. It's interesting that they can tell. I believe it's kind of an electrical current that they can feel. Yeah, because everything is energy. It's energy. And the other thing that they do is once someone has fallen, they stay with them until someone comes. So they're trained to stay.
Wow.
And they bark. So they bring attention to this downed person with a barking dog. And they also wear the medical information on their collar. So it was interesting to see, and because I can understand a blind person using a dog or someone that's, deaf, and I couldn't see how an epileptic person could use a service dog. But we just talked about some of the ways, which is really interesting.
So fascinating and so fabulous that a beautiful creature or
Yeah.
dog. Yeah, so amazing. That's so cool.
And it has to be a big enough dog. I said, well, can you get a
Mhm.
little dog? And she said, no, because it has to be able to break the fall. And
Oh
it
my
has to be
goodness.
able to help when they're unstable. The dog will actually push them over and get underneath them so that they can create the fall so that the person doesn't randomly fall against something dangerous. So it's a really interesting thing. Creative how dogs can do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. At the end of every episode, I also like to wrap things up with something fun. Do you drink, Sharon? Do you enjoy an adult beverage?
Well, I don't drink often. I'll have a glass of wine now and again, yes.
Yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite glass of wine?
I like a Chardonnay. I like a kind of semi-sweet Chardonnay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like the California style or they're big and oaky and buttery?
Yeah, I usually drink a California style
Okay.
Chardonnay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what's a favorite memory shared with girlfriends, either with a cocktail or a glass of wine? You have a memory of.
Well, my favorite memory is have I have a tea party. There's no wine there, but it's one of my favorite memories.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
We had big tea parties, and they're so awesome. They're at my home, and they're up to 10 women, and we're in like fancy dress and hats. It's a high tea, and everybody brings something. They're potluck, and I have a menu, and I have a specific menu that's all healthy. Like we bring fresh fruit. I make a clotted cream out of yogurt. I make the lemon curd with agave syrup instead of sugar, and we have gluten-free crackers and Dave thin seed bread for the little sandwiches. So we put it up like a high tea, but we use all better healthy things because I'm a health coach and I didn't want another high tea that was just loaded with fat. So anyway, we do that, and then we have a fun little game we play at the table. I have a deck of cards, and it's all set up like Alice in Wonderland. It's the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. So I do a lot of decorations. I have all the characters, Alice and the Mad Hatter and the White Rabbit. They're all around, and so it's really a fun environment that we do that in. And then they draw a card, and they get a number. And when they get that number, we go around the group and ask them to say something about their life that number reminds them of. So it can be anything, For one woman, she got the 3 and she has 3 sisters. So she talked about her 3 sisters. For somebody else, she got the Queen and she talked about her marriage, her first marriage. I mean, she was 80 and she talked about her marriage when she was in Yugoslavia, Croatia now, and how that made her feel like a queen. So it was a really interesting kind of an impromptu discovery call for each of them to say something about their life, about themselves. So it's made us much closer as a group. I call us the show-uppers, women who show up.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've done 3 tea parties now, and I have 2 more scheduled. If anybody listening is local, I have a tea party scheduled on March 14th and March 15th. And they're 2 to 4 in the afternoon. And I'm not charging for them right now. Eventually I need to because I provide the tea and make up my stuff. But right now they're potlucks and anyone can attend that wants to meet some other women and share an afternoon. And then we go for a walk in the neighborhood. They bring Constable Sue and we walk together. And out of my very first tea, I've made 4 really good friends.
Nice.
And we all went we rented the Airbnb and went north together to see the manatees in Crystal River last week. We had a great time. And that's where I can say we all got together for dinner and had that glass of wine. So Jack,
I guess so.
his glass of wine. So it was after the tea party, and on our next event, we all went out to a fabulous fish dinner, and we all had a glass of wine and had a toast our new friendship. So that's what's really cool about this tea party. Is it's an intimate group. It's in a home. It's a couple hours, so you get to really get to know somebody. And I'm doing a lot of these, meet and greet kind of group. I do one every Tuesday in the park in Venice. So one of the things I realized is that I didn't have a good network of friends here in Venice I live in Tacoma, because I moved here 2.5 years ago, and I live half the year in California. So what's easy is with this, we get 8 or 10 women, you get to know a little bit about them, and you can exponentially build friends. When we do the regular meet and greets, I have a little page I give them. Where did you come from? Where do you live now? What was your field or your work? Are you still working? What's your passion? What do you love to do? And how can you share that with other women here at the table? And so everybody answers those questions. And what's interesting is and then I ask them what their superpower is. And all the women have a hard time saying what their superpower is.
I know.
That's a woman thing. But there's all said what it is when they tell me their passion.
They just don't realize.
They don't realize it. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing, and I'm loving doing it, and it's really been fun. And in the group, a bunch of those women are really interested in showing up for my week, dive into wellness. So it's been a great effort to reach out and meet all these people. And women
Fantastic.
women over 50 that are leaving their careers, and now a lot of their parents are not. Some of them are still taking care of their parents, but some aren't, and their kids are gone, and so they're in a whole new genre now. Is what do I do for myself? And a lot of them have moved, especially in Florida. Almost no one is from Florida.
Yeah.
So
Very few.
we've come from somewhere else. And so a lot of us left our besties behind.
Yeah.
We have to make new ones here in Florida. So that's my superpower. I have 2 things that leave you with my 2 superpowers. One is connecting other women, connecting women to have real transparent relationships that are supportive. So creating a zesty alliance with other women. And the other thing is, I've risen out of the ashes to have other adventures, and I like to embolden other women that are going through struggles to know that it's possible. However down they might. My divorce took 9 years. Talk about
Oh my God.
an event, and the problem was we sold the property 7 times before it finally closed escrow. And we were hung up in getting the property sold before the divorce became final.
Oh my goodness.
Part of the hang up was this unusual property. It was a horse ranch. I rescued horses and had a mentor business. I mentored women and kids with horses. And the property was difficult to sell because it was a horse property, which banks don't want to loan them. So we sold it 7 times. It fell out 7 times, which then drug us onto this long, long divorce. So that's something I'm really good at helping women realize. Out of the ashes of their breakup, they can thrive. So those are my 2 things: connecting women and really emboldening women to rise from whatever adversity they're in, whatever it brought them into a less than position, a place where they're not feeling zesty, a place where they're not feeling like they're on their best game or they're living their best life.
Wonderful.
And it's fun. I love doing it.
Fulfilling.
It's fulfilling, and it's my gift is to connect other women, and then through that connection, the connection itself is part of the growing out of whatever it is that's dragging you down. It's just having a strong, transparent, loving sisterhood that you get to really know and care for each other. like the woman with the problem with the epileptic daughter, she's one of my Tea Party sisters. I haven't known her very long, but she called me when she had that big thing because she moved here from Georgia and her besties are up there in Georgia. So she was here with a daughter that had a really bad incident, and she reached out to me, a new friend from the Tea Party. So it's come full circle to where we're not just strangers on Facebook, to where we're not just a Facebook friend, a real friend.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it's an epiphany for a lot of these women because sometimes we go to these events, Facebook events or Sassy Sister events, and we just go and we leave and we didn't really build a connection that's going to stay with them. And I try to make my event more meaningful for people. So when they leave, they have somebody that they think they can get back to, or they can do something with, or they can, hey, I like to paddle, or hey, I like to play tennis, or hey, I like to do this. We've been to botanical gardens all over with each other, and that's been really fun. Yeah. So I'm the matchmaker. I'm matching her.
That's
And
nice.
not in a romantic way, but in a fun.
Galentine's.
Yeah, Galentine's. Wow. So that's my passion, is creating more sisters that really support each other and help each other rise out of the mud should we find ourselves in a mud hole.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So thank you for your time and letting me share some of what I do and who I am.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon. This is all good stuff. Anytime that women support each other, when we come together, we can change the world. And I feel like we're really good at it. So when we lead, we really can make a positive change for others. And that's my mission too.
The Dalai Lama said the Western woman will change the world.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah,
I believe it.
It's a very famous quote. It says Western women have the resources to do it.
Yeah.
Right now, Western women in the U.S. women are the wealthiest they've ever been. A lot of parents have died. A lot of women have, in this last 20 years, had good income. More than 20 years ago, where women weren't making much. Been good income levels. There's been good investment levels. A lot of them have inherited money from their families. And a lot of the one with the massive wealth have got it from a divorce or the death of their partner, like the Apple inheritance and Jeff Bezos divorce, and now the Elon Musk split up. So those women are powerful, and then on down the line, in dollar way, but all of those women that have inherited money from their family or had careers where they were able to invest and have somewhat of a nest egg are women that can support philanthropy.
Yeah.
We're in a better place today than ever, and I think the world needs it today more than ever. There's a lot of division and men coming together, and women, I think, are the ones that are going to help us come back together and not
Totally agree.
Not split us apart politically and ideologically and all the split ups that we've faced these last few years.
Yeah. I'm not sure who said it. It might have been Mother Teresa even that said to make change, you need change.
Right. So here we are. So we're in a change.
Yeah.
And we're now making inroads to the next event. And you're doing a great job in putting this out there, and you're connecting too. You're connecting other women. So that's great for your podcast.
Thank you so much. And I hope the rest of your day is wonderful and all is well with your friend and her daughter. And
thank you very much.
Let's go make some zesty and fabulous change.
Thank you, Penny. Great getting to know you a little bit and spending some time with you.
You too, Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hey.
That's a wrap on this episode of Penny for Your Shots. If you loved today's conversation, don't let the inspiration stop here. Get my weekly insider updates straight to your inbox. It's where I spill behind the scenes goodies, exclusive tips, and all the fun stuff I don't always share on the podcast. Sign up now at pennyforyourshots.com/insider. I'll see you in your inbox next Thirsty Thursday. Cheers.